baby. Yeah.
Miracle, miracle, serves. Miracle, miracle, serves. Miracle, miracle, serves. Miracle, miracle, serves.
We keep having all these problems. How we gonna solve them? Every day it's the same thing. Yeah. All these unsolved issues, I guess it's official. Here we go again, the same old thing. And I'm tired of the arguing and lying. So goodbye, all the hurt and crying. Things will change and you, so how can I expect something new? It's the same old thing.
Good morning, everybody. It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. It is July the 3rd, 2025, and today the topic is don't just talk about it, be about it. Happy Thursday. It's Happy Thursday, everybody. I hope you guys had a wonderful Wednesday. Mine was just fine. Yes, mine was good overall. Yeah, I know it's a sad day, right? For I guess fellow believers, people that have been following Allie. A lot of you guys here on the channel are mourning, right? The recent event and the recent trial and the results. And we're right here with you. You know what I'm saying? We try our best to again put out encouraging information. So we did put out prayers from yesterday. We put out the different statements that, was posted on Allie's platforms, different things of that nature. I did get a chance to text with her a little bit yesterday, her and Miss Shelley. And, obviously they're in a situation where, they're just trying to figure out next steps and things like that. But, and then I don't know what it is, but I feel like ever since we got in contact, I just be trying to make her smile or make her laugh or something. Like, I feel like not that it's my calling or something, but I don't know. Like, I feel like a responsibility in some aspects to try to just, cheer her up or whatever. And so I try to do that. I hope that it helps and stuff like that. And so, yeah. I mean, but with all that being said, and I know I don't have too much time to dilly-dally, as they say today. But yeah, with all that being said, I guess these are the things I was reminded of this morning. When I woke up and I did the prayer meditation, and it was so interesting because when I listened to the Soul Space app this morning, it seemed like it really centered around this situation in a lot of ways. But the thing that stood out to me the most was when the app mentioned hyssop, the word hyssop. I felt led to go deeper about that word. What is a hyssop? What was it used for? Different things of that nature. And so, yeah, that's what I took the time to do this morning, was reflecting on that. And then eventually, as I was reflecting on that, that's when this, the quote came to me about don't just talk about it, be about it, And so, yeah, that's where today's conversation came from. And we got to go ahead and get into it because, like I said, your girl got to get ready to go to work today. All right. So, the hyssop, friends. So the biblical definition, or in the Bible, a hyssop was a plant that primarily associated with purification and cleansing rituals. Now, I know that word can get deep, right? We hear the word rituals and people get up in arms, right? I ain't gonna lie, like even yesterday, people had an issue with my photo and me doing a sound because apparently that means something to some other people. I guess in a nefarious way. I don't know no other way to say be quiet other than maybe do this, but I mean, I don't know, like, or this maybe. So maybe I could have posed in a different way to say be silent, but I mean, that's the best post that I came up with yesterday before I, took the photos or whatever. So, I mean, it wasn't that deep to me, but I get it. You know what I'm saying? Again, this word ritual and, all the different practices and things that are out here. I get it. We're concerned, especially as believers, right? However, if we read the Bible, right, and if we are familiar at all, then you know that the Lord called us to do some rituals, at least in those days and times. Matter of fact, there's still one that we're supposed to be doing these days, which is like the Lord's Supper, right? That's technically a ritual as well. But I ain't getting in too deep about rituals and the whole defense of them or nothing. I just was thinking See, it's another alarm telling me, go get ready, girl, go to work. Um, but yeah, so that's the first thing that I felt led to write down. So I found it interesting too, because I came across this that said, the spiritual purpose of a hyssop is it's a tool for exorcism and plays a role in the command of spirits. The same context connected it to the banishment of demons. And I'm like, oh Lord, that's interesting. I just wrote that down because I came across it and again thought it was interesting. But I guess once we go deeper again about this hyssop thing and what I feel like the revelations that I was receiving about it, then I think this might make some sense. Even me coming here today and sharing, because after sharing a juice yesterday about being silent and whatnot, I was like, well, Lord, is this a time to be silent? Is this a time where you don't want me to speak? We know that, I guess, I don't think Ali has made any direct statements, at least not that we saw. Other than, I mean, she, like I said, she was texting me, but outside of that, like, I don't think she made any statements. So it might be a time for her to be silent, right? And so I was thinking, Lord, is that a time for me as well? But he done sent me here. He done sent me here with a juice today about all of this, and we're gonna see. We're gonna see what the Lord do. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right. So what stood out to me is the verse Psalm 51:7. And again, the prayer meditation was going over that verse today. And it says here, purge me with hyssop and I shall be clean. Wash me and I shall be whiter than snow. So yeah, again, we already established that in the Bible, this plant was used in a variety of ways. You guys can look it up, all the different details of different ways. Just to give some examples, it was used to, let me see, I wrote down some of the examples here. It was used to apply the blood of the lamb of Passover. So that was something it was used for. It was also used to cleanse someone in leprosy and whatnot as well. So again, these are just some of the things that the hyssop plant was used for. And then if you look in the Bible as well, it talks about how it was used to give, vinegar and whatnot to Jesus on the cross. So this plant, right, had many, many uses. And again, y'all can do that deep dive and study into that on your own if you feel so led to do. However, friends, I guess I kind of just want to go deeper about, some more. Wait, no, I told you guys the biblical uses. Well, here's a quote. Here's a quote that I came across about rituals in general first. So it says, biblical rituals were never about control. They were about obedience. So again, we know just to put it out there and put it on the table, because I know people can go ham with this idea of rituals and be like, oh yeah, see, y'all are doing rituals too and whatever. There's a difference between doing some type of ritual that because the Lord commanded you to do it and you're being obedient, right? Versus doing a ritual because you're trying to gain power or notoriety or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So just putting that on the table, that might be pulp. You might not even want to hear that, especially if you want to do your rituals, but just putting it out there, like, you gotta, again, look at the source, right? Look at the fruit of the ritual, look at, all of that when we're determining what we should and should not be doing. But again, getting back to the hyssop, right? Getting back to this conversation about don't just talk about it, be about it. This is what I received. So this is some of the revelations I received this morning about this. I received that you and I are the hyssop right now, y'all. If you are a believer in Christ, right? If you somebody that, are following the Lord and stuff like that, then we are the hyssop in these days and times. Why? Because we carry truth, we apply the word, and we cover others in prayer and intercession. So yeah, if you are feeling called, like if that pricked your heart, right, and that is standing out to you, and you feel like that's you that I just described, then again, obviously there's a lot of work to be done in these days and times. Again, a lot of people are hurting. A lot of people need to hear, again, biblical wisdom and things of that nature. And so we all play a part. And I think that's the interesting thing about, like, I guess being on the back end and seeing, like, all these thousands of comments and stuff like that. And I'm grateful, again, I'm grateful for everything that the Lord is doing with me, for me, and through me, and especially through GSL. But I ain't gonna lie, man, it's frustrating, man. It's frustrating to be answering the same questions over and over and over again. Like, I mean, because there's statements, frequently asked questions, we put videos out. Like, there's so many things that have answered a lot of the questions that people come here and ask over and over and over again. So I can't even imagine being Allie, right? And then dealing with that. Cause like I said, it's annoying and frustrating just for me, and it wasn't even my testimony. At the end of the day, I'm just helping her share her testimony, and it's like, man, how many times does she has to say she wasn't subpoenaed? And if you're watching her live, then you know she's not missing, and it's just all these different things that is like people. Again, we were talking about this yesterday about word curses, right? People say stuff over and over and over again, and that makes it true, right, in their mind. But it's like, the more you can say these things over and over again, but at the end of the day, like, we also have the proof on our end that this lady been live ever since the Diddy trial was going on. She's been live. She's been telling people her side. She's unredacted information. She even put it out there to say, hey, if you want to contact me, here's a number. If you want to look into my case file, here's this. Like, all of this stuff has been documented, but somehow people are still confused and still saying she's missing, or still say, it's just, all of this stuff is just very, very interesting. But again, but for those that are, I guess, believers, right? We are supposed to be, I guess, part of the healing of this situation. Perhaps we're even supposed to be casting out these demons, right? And I guess we can do that, from my understanding, we can do that with truth, right? We can do that by fasting and prayer. There's all kinds of things that we could and probably should be doing. But instead, from what I'm witnessing, right, I'm just seeing a lot of people, basically asking what someone else is doing, whether they're saying, well, hey, what are we doing as a platform? What am I doing as, me, or what Allie is doing? But, at the end of the day, it's like, what are you doing? Each one of us plays a part in this situation, regardless. Like, I mean, I know, yes, maybe she's holding a little bit more weight because she witnessed things, was an eyewitness to things. But I mean, she's keeping the documents from all these years. She's sharing it. And I mean, and obviously she's keeping some things close, like she say over and over again, like keeping it close to their chest unless something happens to them. And at that point, all bars are hold, or however they say, what I'm saying? It's all going to be out there. So I don't know how many times she has to say that, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how many, but regardless, right? But regardless of this big picture issue of what's currently happening, right? I guess this conversation, it goes beyond even that stuff, because again, we're talking about Bible, right? Biblical wisdom, and then, what the Lord says and things like that. And so I guess what I'm receiving right now about all of this is that, I mean, at the end of the day, God is in control, and he knows all. Who knows, man? He might be giving Diddy a little bit more grace and mercy so he can repent right now. Who knows what the Lord is doing and why the Lord is allowing things to go the way it's going. Of course, like I say, we say this all the time. Everybody wants justice when it comes to, somebody else in their situation. But when it comes to me, right, Lord, I want grace and mercy. Please give me grace and mercy, Lord. Give me one more chance, So it's just very interesting. Again, we forget that, look, we have all sinned and fallen short. Like, we may not be doing the stuff that Diddy done got caught up doing, but I mean, you doing your own version of that. And it's just as bad, just as wrong, and just as much sin when you compare that to Christ. So at the end of the day, like, we're all in the same boat. And so, but regardless, right? I guess I'm just going deeper about this concept again, about, again, not just talking about it, but being about it. So what does that mean? Let's see here. One thing that was standing out to me about this idea about the hyssop and whatnot is just remembering that cleansing requires contact. So again, right now, we could be the hyssop, right? By doing what, friends? We could be reaching out to someone in need. We can be speaking the truth in love. We could be interceding. We could be standing in the gap and applying the gospel to real life situations. Again, I mean, yeah, we're all angry and mad, but then, okay, ask the Lord, okay, Lord, how could I do something with my righteous anger? Like, what do you want me to do with my righteous anger? Again, people keep going on and saying, oh, what is Ellie doing about the children? Well, hey, what are you doing about the children? Because guess what? Look, I done said this over and over and over again, but there has been significant change in my life based on Allie's testimony. in my own household and what I do in the community and beyond. And even what I'm doing right now to thousands of people wherever y'all at. You know, so we all play a part. And I believe that she done did what she was supposed to do. Like, really, honestly, like I say this all the time. Like, if she goes off grid and just tries to live a normal life, like, I would not blame her. Because at the end of the day, like, that's all she was trying to do before she went viral. Like, she went viral on accident. Do we all remember that? I do. So, I mean, you know, out of accident and frustration, you know. And so, and she tells her testimony over and over and over again. Like, she was trying to heal, trying to just work, trying to go to school, having all these crazy things happening to her in these spaces and whatnot. And then at some point, it just got to be too much to where she started to speak. She didn't really even want to speak about what had happened to her in her past. So, regardless, again, of all of that, friends, what are you doing, right? What are you called to do? How can we be about it instead of just, I guess, talking about it, right? Now the word says this, okay? James 1:22. It says, but be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. At the end of the day, you're only deceiving yourself to be a hearer and not putting into practice the things that the Lord say to do. At the end of the day, again, here I am, a living witness, man. I could have sat here and been like, you know what, man, I ain't got nothing to say, or whatever the case may be. But I'm trying to come out here, be obedient, do what the Lord telling me to do, and come out here and share this message. I don't know who all gonna see it and hear it, but I hope that whoever's seeing and hearing it at this point will be activated to do whatever it is that the Lord is calling you to do. And guess what? If we all do that and do our part, then something will be done. I know people are like, you know, where are their children, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, again, I say this about missions. Don't get me wrong. Like, I wouldn't mind going to do a little missions work myself. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm like, I acknowledge that at the end of the day, there's plenty of work to be done in my own neighborhood, right? There's plenty of work to be done in my own family, okay? So, I mean, if we're not going to take some action and do something about those things, then, I mean, how do we expect that we're going to be the ones to go and knock down the tunnels and all that other type of stuff? Like, I mean, you ain't even checking on the kids in your own family. I mean, I'm sorry, but I mean, look, I done read some of those documents, right? And people want to claim it's not, you know, it's so interesting. Like, if it was brought in court, it would be considered proof, right, and evidence. But you know, apparently not in the public eye. But that's fine, you know, whatever you want to believe. But regardless of that, you know, obviously there have been a lot of people that have observed different things happening in Allie's life, right? One of those people seemed to be an aunt from one of the things that I've read. You know what I'm saying? And so even with that, like, I mean, obviously the aunt tried to do something because she allowed the children to be interviewed in her home, from what I read now. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not, you know, trying to shame the lady or whatever, but all I'm saying is that there are situations like this happening in our families. And until you're ready to open that can of worms and address that stuff and protect those children, then I'm sorry, you can't come on here and tell us or tell Allie or tell anybody else that they're not doing enough. Because, you know, I just know for me, I can only really speak for myself. I can't sit here and I know that people like, somebody in the comments was like, well, what is Allie Army doing? At the end of the day, Allie's Army is just regular people. Regular people around the world. And I can sit here and say what I'm doing. Matter of fact, you're witnessing what I'm doing if you're watching and listening to me right now. Like, so I just, you know, and then again, not even what I'm doing in my own household, what I do in my family, and what I'm doing in the community, and everything like that. And so, I mean, you know, are you being a trustworthy adult that a child could go and talk to and be there for them? And if they come and tell you some crazy stuff, are you going to be there for them? I mean, because and I told y'all this before, but there was a workshop that the church had me do recently that was kind of like being I guess like kind of like a first responder to trauma or something like that. I hate to misquote, but basically, one of the things I learned is that if a child has one adult that they can trust, then that speaks volumes and it has an impact on that child in their life. From what I'm seeing, Miss Shelley was that one person for Allie until now, I guess. You know, hopefully, you know, she sees me as friend and all the rest of the people that actually, you know, are helping them out and stuff like that. But it seems like Miss Shelley was that one person for Allie back in the day, right? Are you going to be that one person for somebody today? Can you be? I mean, I think you can. If you're alive and well and you know you got a heart and you feel about this cause or whatever the case may be, then I promise you there's probably somebody in your family that needs you. Somebody in your community that needs you. I mean, again, like what I just don't. I mean, we can sit here and break down all these different ways to do something, but I mean, like, why do I have to do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, do I have to? We all have to make lists. Y'all expecting Allie to do all the things, when she's just one person that's just trying to heal and just trying to be normal and just trying to like not deal with the stuff that she's dealing with. It's just so interesting to me. Like, regardless, man, all I'm saying is, if you're here listening to the sound of my voice today, let's be about it and not just be talking about it, right? Or not just be hearing it and not doing nothing. We don't have time for that. Like, again, if you can sit here and say, yes, every child in my family is A-okay, there's no issue going on in my family when it comes to child abuse or something like that, then great. Then guess what you can do? Start looking in your community. Start serving at the church. Go to one of them organizations, right? And see, hey, can I start volunteering? You know, can I start and then be the eyes and ears and hands and feet of Jesus in those places? You see something, you say something. Oh, so I see, it looks like the children are being taken around the corner. Can I get some understanding of what's going on with that? Do something, you know what I'm saying? Like, instead, like, it's just so, there's plenty to do, friends, in our own backyards. And people want to go around, you know, and again, if you led and you got the funds and the Lord is leading you to go do missions work, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. You know what I mean? Because the Lord is like leading people to go and do a lot of things. But if you know that the Lord has to lead you to go to other country and serve in that capacity, then serve in your house. Serve in your community. Make sure every child in your circle of influence is good and not going through similar things the way that Allie did, or even that I did. Unfortunately, the babysitter was not trustworthy. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? But, and then how will someone know, right, unless they're being proactive? You know, like, or not even just that. I mean, again, I feel like things happen for a reason, and obviously the Lord is using it. So I'm not, no shade to nobody in my past, right? You know what I mean? I'm just grateful that I didn't experience worse. You know what I mean? But I'm just letting you know that, again, I'm not the only child that experienced some stuff like that. People are going through this stuff now. We see it in the news. You may be hearing it in your families. I mean, why are we trying to act like this ain't real? But again, we're not just talking about this conversation, y'all. We're talking in general as well. You know, we're talking about, again, the gospel and the word and stuff like that as well. And so again, we can't just be hearers of the word and not putting into practice the word, right? We got to be doers as well, right? We so good at going and listening to the pastor, right? Stuff like that. And then we don't do nothing to apply that, nothing he taught us all week. And then we go back and do it again. Like, I'm sorry, but I feel like people that do that, and you know, if I'm wrong, Lord, please correct me if I'm wrong. But I feel like people that do that, y'all gonna be the ones that that the Lord say, depart from me, I never knew you. And you gonna be like, I did this in your name, I did that in your name, I went to church every Sunday. I never knew you. You never did nothing I asked you to do, and you was a hearer and not a doer. I hope you guys are encouraged and inspired to do something, y'all. Again, you guys can go deeper about this. I did look up both of those topics that I told you guys about. I looked up hyssop and when I went to openbible.info. So there's verses centered around that. And then I also looked up my phrase again. Don't just talk about it, be about it. I plug those different things into openbible.info. So there's plenty of verses that you guys can peruse and let marinate on your hearts, souls, and minds. But I think I've given you guys the juice today. I hope that you guys are encouraged and inspired. Let me give you guys the Bible verse of today, and that's John 20:29. It says, Jesus saith unto him, Thomas, because thou hast seen me, thou hast believed, and blessed are they that have not seen and yet have believed. Friends, I hope you guys enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspirational juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Bye bye.